daytime. You can call me Buster, and today I will be casting a game of war chess played live between the players Nini and Advanced Warrior. If you don't know what war chess is, click the link in the top right corner right here to see a video explaining the rules of the game. But without further ado, let's get started! Alright everyone, it's time for the exhibition match. It is Nini versus Advanced Warrior. Two names that you may know very well, especially Advanced Warrior. He's a fellow content creator. He's helping me out with this video. And go ahead and check him out. He has a link in the description. Why not? Go check him out. And Nini is a top player. As you can see, he's very high on both rankings. So this should be a match for the ages. Alright, so we've got Nini starting. As you remember from the rules. If you haven't seen the rules, check the card in the top right corner right there to get that video. On the first turn, player 1 can only move his infantry or mechs. So Nini starts with this infantry right here. Advanced Warrior starts with an artillery, which is a very good opener. I've seen a lot of players making good use of the artillery opener, getting that position really quickly so that you can start to zone out your opponent's tanks and other things like that. And Nini does the same, hiding it behind this infantry here. He could have shot on the artillery here, but then because Advanced Warrior advanced his, or what's the word that chess players use? They say progressing it? What? Oh, I know the word. You say you moved the knight. You developing pieces. Yes. See, I made a game about chess, so I should know chess lore, right? Yeah, he developed his tank, so it wasn't necessarily safe to fire on the artillery. Meanwhile, they are continuing to protect their artillery on all sides. Very important to have them set up. Nini now developing one of his mechs, which is very good to see. It'll be safe behind there. Now, if he tries to shoot with this tank, he can fire back with the artillery or possibly the mech. Or rather, if an anti-air or a tank tries to come anywhere near here, the mech can shoot it. Now we've got some more infantry moving up, and we have the battlecopter being developed. Very interesting, the battlecopter. Being in the far corner, it takes a couple of turns to develop it to a useful position. As it is here, it's still working pretty defensively, but as we get further into the start game, we're going to get more of these artillery going. We're going to get more... Oh! Now that's an interesting move. Moving the artillery next to each other so that they cover each other. That seems like a pretty good opener right there. I'm guessing, though, that Nini will reply to that by simply attacking in this corner rather than trying to attack over here. And now my cat Cinnamon, you can see her in the background going into the bathroom. Oh, never mind. Where'd you go? I guess she went into the bathroom. Anyway, don't worry about the cat. She doesn't know how to play war chess. Okay, so currently Advanced Warrior's turn. Okay. We see the anti-air coming out to answer this battlecopter. And now Nini moving his bike out. Bike is very nice for capturing properties. You can actually win by capturing the HQ. I haven't seen it done yet. So I don't know. I might have to move the HQs up a tile or something at some point. But I kind of kept the HQ cap as a secondary win condition just for if the king is running away and you just have an infantry. You can send it down to turn it into a tank. Or you can just be like, well, I'm going to capture your HQ, you know. It's a secondary win condition to help end games just that little bit quicker. Speaking of quick games, you can see the timer in the top right here. This is a live game through and through. Each player has, I believe they set it up to 1 minute per turn. They get 1 extra minute at the end of their turn. So this is kind of like Blitz chess. I don't know what the timing rules for Blitz or Lightning chess are, but this is going to be a fast-paced game. So now we have Mini Nini. He has developed both of his artillery. You can see they cover a lot of area right here, and they're both being protected by a big wall of units. And Advanced Warrior has done something similar, moving forward this artillery, which he needs to be careful because these two spaces right here, they no longer cover each other. Keeping them right next to each other rather than diagonally spaced, even in regular Advance Wars, is something that's a little stronger for artillery, rather than keeping them diagonal because of their minimum range. Ooh, out comes the second battlecopter. I notice Advanced Warrior not moving out his battlecopters just yet. This may be one of his next moves. He needs to develop those pieces pretty soon here. So obviously, just like regular chess, there are a lot of things that are important. Developing pieces is one of them. Using your infantry pawns to create things like defensive walls to try and ward away other units. For example, you don't want to get your mech shot by an enemy infantry or bike, because that's a very cost-effective trade for your opponent, and you want to save those mechs to fire on your opponent's tanks, and anti-air if you get the chance. Mostly you're not going to actually see that happening, but what you use them for is to zone out your opponent, okay? You don't want them to get into a advantageous position over you. So you use your mechs and your artillery mainly to zone out your opponent. And you can also use the battlecopters in a way to zone out, and you also use your anti-air to zone out. And it's a very positional battle, very similar to chess. The biggest difference is that we don't have things like rooks or bishops that can move all the way across the entire map in one go, because it's still using the Advance Wars movement rules. However, and we also don't have one-turn kills, with the exception of, like, anti-air versus an infantry on a road. Those can be a one-shot. And on top of that, we also have all of the other things from Advance Wars. We have the unit promotion system. The CO tanks, you can see here, have the extra 20% attack and defense from being veteran rank, because it's a CO tank. This particular one has 60 defense, because it also has the 4 defense stars from the HQ. So total of 60 defense, 20% from veteran status, and 40% from the HQ tile that it's on. Now, none of the defensive tiles are any different from regular Tiny Wars. We still have no defense roads, 3 defense woods, and etc. So, the center of the map here can be a bit dangerous, because you don't have any defense on the roads. However, if you manage to take the center, you can resupply units on this middle city if you take it, and you can also plop down, say, an artillery on these forests. However, it's going to take a few, quite a few turns before you'll be able to do that. Now, I've noticed this battlecopter now just moved in range of this anti-air. Ah, okay. I got that backwards. The anti-air moved in range of the battlecopter, and now Advanced Warrior has to move it back to safety. And now Mini Nini will be on the advantage. Here we go. He's moving it back in. If he can shoot that battlecopter, the battlecopters are one of the biggest things that are able to deal damage to the king right here, the medium tank. So if you can take those out early, you will be in a very good position. And Advanced Warrior choosing to move his anti-air to protect his battlecopter rather than running around with the battlecopter forever. He does want to keep that battlecopter in a strong position, but of course he needs to make sure it doesn't get shot. So aside from battlecopters, artillery do pretty well against the king, and of course your own king does pretty well against the king. So it's the easiest to get a battlecopter in range of the king, because artillery, of course, they're indirect units, You'd need the king to come in range for you to shoot on it. And the same deal from the medium tank, because every unit has -1 movement except for the pawns. These can only move 4 tiles, which is not very much. Even though it's a pretty small map, it's very easy to stay out of range of one strong unit. So the battlecopters are very instrumental. If you do not keep them alive, it may be very difficult later down the line to actually take out your opponent's king. Plus, if you take out the opponent's battlecopters, then you can use your anti-air a little more liberally. You can place them, you can use them, say, to destroy infantry walls, even if they're going to get shot by artillery, because if you destroy the wall, then your tank can come in and shoot on the artillery. So it forces your opponent to either rebuild the wall, send an infantry up to rebuild the wall, or they shoot your artillery, or your anti-air, and there are a lot of possibilities you can do there. Alright, currently we are on Advanced Warrior's turn. We are on move 25. Now, of course, turns usually don't go by this quickly in regular Advance Wars, but since this is War Chess, we only get 1 move per turn. The turn count inflates really quite quickly, as you may imagine. And here comes the first shot! This is one of the cool new things I added in this version of War Chess. On the first attack, when the first blood comes out, we get a new music. So now this tank has fired on the anti-air, and that is 1 less unit that is able to take out Mini Nini's battlecopters. And even though he'll get shot right back from the artillery, it may be worth it for him. Yep, and now I think it... Oh, right, there's no luck rolls also in War Chess, so this tank, yeah, it is able to kill that. Now he has to run with this battlecopter or send this tank over here to destroy the enemy tank. There we go. Or else he risks having this anti-air swoop in and shoot down the battlecopter. So at the moment, let's look at the war info. They're both down 1 unit, and they were both worth about the same. In fact, exactly the same, because anti-air and tanks are worth the same in this. There's one small difference I need to note there. Where was it? Yes, the buildings. So, of course, buildings don't give you income in this game. However, Mini Nini has these 2 cities captured along with this HQ. Advanced Warrior only has this one. And with every unit starting with only 3 ammunition, except for battlecopters, really quite quickly you can find yourself running out of ammo. So if you don't capture this city, it can be a long time before you have a chance to resupply. Because, for example, you capture this city, but then before you can rest your unit on it to resupply, you then need to move the infantry off of this city so that something else can move on to it. So it is an opportunity cost to resupply your ammo. Alright, so currently we have a level 1 tank. Now, level 1 only gives you 5% attack. Level 2 gives you 10%, which can be substantial. It is veterancy, where your attack and defense boost goes all the way up to 2020. Just like hindsight, am I right? And so, that is when a unit becomes very tough to deal with, and it will do a lot more damage while taking a lot less back in return. Alright, and that music change means that we have hit turn 30. So we are officially in the mid-game, ladies and gentlemen. So far we've had 2 units lost. We've had an anti-air on Advanced Warrior side trading for a tank on Mini Nini's side. So, Advanced Warrior, going forward, will have a little bit more trouble zoning out those enemy battlecopters, but meanwhile, Mini Nini is going to have a bit more trouble zoning out enemy tanks, and will not have as much to deal with the anti-air and the artillery. Now you can see here, Advanced Warrior moving his tank back onto the HQ so that it can get its ammo replenished, which is not a bad move whatsoever. Meanwhile, Mini Nini moving his maybe moving his artillery onto the city, I'm not sure, but he moved his infantry off so that he can move something else onto there later. And then Advanced Warrior running his battlecopter. And yep, here we go. He's starting a little bit of a gambit here. He may be trying to put an artillery here, but this artillery is now in range. There we go, it gets shot on. Now, that may have looked like a blunder. It may end up being a blunder. We shall see. But one good strategy that you can use to get around these strong artillery walls like Advanced Warrior has here is to attempt to run your opponent's artillery out of ammunition by allowing them to shoot on weak units like infantry that aren't worth much. There we go. I believe that may be what he's up to. He's saying, go ahead and shoot me, I'm going to break your wall, and then I'm going to swoop in with probably a battlecopter. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't quite reach it with this tank. So he would have to use a battlecopter. Is this worth it? Mini Nini seeming to go for quite a gambit here. I'm not sure what is going through his mind, but this could be a very interesting play depending on what he has in store. Meanwhile, Advanced Warrior taking his time. Does he want to shoot on these infantry and use up his ammunition on his artillery? Because it seems like using up the ammunition so that they can no longer zone out is what Mini Nini is after here. What is going to happen? Advanced Warrior does need to be careful. At this point, he's gotten a 26-minute buffer, and he does end up shooting, let's see. He shot with his infantry, is what he did. And meanwhile, Mini Nini is really pressuring this infantry wall. Oh my goodness. And he's just shooting back with his infantry. He does not want to use up his ammunition on his artillery. He knows what Mini Nini is up to. He's saying, I don't want to use up my ammunition, but if he isn't careful, these infantry are going to die, and then his artillery are going to be wide open. And now he's attacking even more parts of the wall. He's saying, go ahead, shoot me. See what happens. Ooh, this is exciting. What will happen? Can Advanced Warrior get out of this one? What is going to happen next? There is a possible move. If he brings his anti-air over here and shoots it, then the only thing he can shoot back with is this anti-air. However, it's not great to get first struck on your anti-air, and this is the only anti-air he has left. So instead of doing that, looks like he's going to move his tank in range. I believe that's a pretty good idea right now, because he can shoot down one of these infantry. And the only thing around here that Mini Nini has is a battlecopter. And meanwhile, Advanced Warrior has his anti-air sitting here ready to take down an opponent battlecopter. But meanwhile, oh, here we go. Alright, he did shoot with the anti-air. Will the anti-air come up and shoot? If it does, it may get shot back by this. And then this battlecopter may shoot on the tank, and then Advanced Warrior will not have an anti-air at full health to shoot down the battlecopters. However, Mini Nini chooses to play it safe. He brings over his tank instead, so that he has even more recourse should that come to pass. This is getting very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Advanced Warrior, once again, in a bit of a sticky bind. What is he going to do here? He can still choose to fire with his artillery on those infantry. However, now that his wall has been weakened, it's going to be very tricky to keep those artillery where they are to zone out the enemy. Mini Nini knows this, and he's trying to weaken that artillery wall so that he can break through and start doing some real damage to Advanced Warrior's forces. Looks like he brings back his anti-air back behind the front lines where it will not be in danger of being shot. He does need to keep this anti-air alive because remember, he already lost his first one. So if he wants any hope of defeating these battlecopters, he needs to keep those anti-air alive, because using only your 2 battlecopters against your opponent's battlecopters and 2 anti-air is going to be very rough going, especially against such a strong opponent as Nini. Ah! And he brings forward his battlecopter by 1, a singular tile. That brings it in range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that brings it in range of a lot of extra infantry while not quite putting it in danger of being shot by this anti-air. I wouldn't be surprised if the anti-air now moves forward. But this tank is also zoning it out from doing so. Meanwhile, Nini decides, you know what? I don't care about that lone battlecopter over there. It doesn't matter to me. I'm still zoning out all of these tiles right here, so even if you tried to come over here to shoot my infantry, it's not going to work out. I'm just going to keep putting pressure on your western flank here. And not only that, but this also creates a wall in front of the artillery, so if Advanced Warrior got any funny ideas about coming down and firing on this, that's not going to happen anymore. Meanwhile, Advanced Warrior is now developing some more infantry units, perhaps trying to reinforce his artillery wall here. That is something that needs to be done sooner rather than later, because if this wall goes down, all could be lost. If these artillery get shot, that could be the defining moment of the game. Meanwhile, Nini also moving around his infantry units, shuffling around, trying to get himself into a more advantageous position, waiting for his opponent to make even the smallest mistake so that he can strike. But Advanced Warrior is not giving up, and that tank is going to be moving over. I wonder what this tank move is trying to accomplish here. You can see here, if he wants to shoot the tank or the anti-air, even if he can move all the way down here, he can't at the moment, but even if he could, the artillery is covering both of those key units right now. So, if he wants to destroy those, he's going to have to use either a battlecopter to get within the range of the artillery without fear, or he's going to have to use his own artillery to zone out the enemy's wall and fire on them, but that's very hard to do when your opponent's artillery are already in place. Meanwhile, Nini is breaking down this wall and is really threatening Advanced Warrior's artillery. Either break down the wall and fire on them, oh my. Now that's very scary. Now he can fire on this if he wants to. Why not? He'll get a level 1 artillery. It would be very nice to get a veteran rank artillery. It's a very good unit to have in the first place, and getting it at veteran rank is even scarier. What will he do, though? Now, you need to notice, when you're playing War Chest, don't be too afraid of the low on ammo indicator, because you only have 3 ammo in the first place. So as soon as you fire once, and by the way, the infantry's gone, what is it going to do? Will he move up one of these infantry to plug the hole? But yes, don't be too afraid of that. However, when you get to 1 shot left on your artillery, that's when you begin to be in danger, because that last shot will leave you with no defense whatsoever, and you will have no choice but to go back and resupply. However, you can't force your opponent to fire, but you can continue to put pressure on their artillery by attacking the infantry wall. Now, if I were in this position... Oh! The battlecopter comes out. This... unfortunately, this anti-air is in range. Yep. Bye-bye, battlecopter. That is 1 battlecopter down on Advanced Warrior's side, and meanwhile, yeah, he will be able to fire back with either an artillery or tank. However, using the artillery. Alright. Oh no! The other battlecopter was in range as well! Oh, that's terrible. Advanced Warrior didn't even notice. He chose to attack with this artillery, but then it was still able to make it over to this battlecopter, and even with only 4 hit points, it's able to do that much to a battlecopter, and that may be one of the biggest plays of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, at current, we are 18 units to 19, 74,000 versus 68,000. That was a big play. Big play by Nini. A very, very good play right there. But now that anti-air is gone, not that it matters much because all Advanced Warrior has is a 5 hit point battlecopter, and there's still a second one and 2 battlecopters in the back. This is now going to be a very tough fight for Advanced Warrior. Even though, okay, battlecopter going there. Even though the unit count and value are pretty similar in war chests, you need to take small differences with a grain of salt because Advanced Warrior has lost a lot of key units. Now, a lot of infantry can be lost. They're not worth a lot. They're mostly useful as meat shields, as you can see. They're very useful for creating walls, just like pawns are in chess. However, once you begin losing anti-air, tanks, artillery, battlecopters, those are your key units. And the player who is ahead in those more powerful, more versatile units is usually the one who begins to pull ahead overall. Now, something interesting I see, this base right here, it's not super safe because these 2 infantry are weakened, plus this artillery can fire on this spot right here. However, if you can perhaps run this artillery out of ammo, then suddenly this space becomes a lot safer for Nini to plop his artillery, and then he can begin zoning out 1, 2, 3, all of these spaces, and forcing Advanced Warrior back. That could be a very interesting play, however, that's not going to happen until much later in the game. So if it does happen, Nini may have to go for the long game here. Meanwhile, Nini at 40 minutes. I'm not sure if I can check how much time Advanced Warrior has left. Yes, he has about 34 minutes. Alright. So both players still with plenty of time to be able to sit and think. I believe Advanced Warrior just moved his tank over. And now Nini thinking, oh, moving up this infantry. So he's trying to push his forces up. He wants to find a way to make his forces more oppressive. Make it harder for Advanced Warrior to continue doing what he's doing. He wants to use up that artillery fire. Go ahead. I'm in range. Why don't you shoot me, right? Of course, Advanced Warrior by now clearly knows better. He's trying to conserve his ammo, but there's just not much else he can do. If I were in this case... Ah, that works too. You can use this 2 hit point infantry, but you can also move this one up, and that would help to reinforce your wall. Oh, but now both sides of the walls are gone. If this tank comes up and fires on this, then this artillery shooting back will use its final ammo. The tanks could shoot back too, but you could also shoot back with the battlecopter, which would force out the anti-air, and then if you have something to fire on the anti-air with, then you could give your second battlecopter, oh my, you could give your second battlecopter pretty much free reign. If Nini can get rid of this anti-air, even if it means sacrificing a battlecopter, then it will be a 10 hit point battlecopter versus a 5 hit point one. And the only other thing he'll be able to do, oh my, he moves that battlecopter in range just to protect his artillery. We're now on turn 50, and we're moving into the end game. What will happen next? Both players just positioning their units once again, but something has to give eventually. This is not going to end peacefully, ladies and gentlemen. It's not called war chess for nothing. Ah, Advanced Warrior's turn. He really needs to plug this hole right here. He has 2 infantry capable of it. This one, Oh, in fact, he could even move his bike up here. He has yet to develop his bikes, nor his king. And some of these infantry and mechs also have been left undeveloped. But what is the smartest choice going into this next turn? If it were me, I would place this infantry right here. He needs to plug that hole. If those artillery start to go down, it is over for him. He still has a chance here. He can bring this back. However, he is pretty far behind. Now, he is ahead by 2 units. However, notice that Mini Nini has a lot more unit value. Because those 2 units that he's ahead by, they're just infantry pawns. They're not worth that much. They're great for shielding. However, Mini Nini is not in shield mode. He's not in defense mode. He's going on the full all-out offensive. And here comes the anti-air killing the final battlecopter. You don't need to worry about losing that anti-air because there's no more battlecopters for it to deal with. Now it can just go around sacrificing itself, firing on infantry, trying to break walls. Here comes a mech firing on the artillery, and ladies and gentlemen, that is probably going to be the end or the beginning of the end. And Advanced Warrior, he must know it's over. He's bringing out his king in range of the battlecopters, and that is going to be GG, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way he's coming back from this one. Will he continue to fight, though? Will he fight to the last man? Will the anti-air come out and shoot? You know what? I'm not entirely sure Advanced Warrior has given up yet. But we shall see. Maybe he's in the process of typing resign. It could be. I would like to see this game go on for just a little bit longer. What could he pull? There it is. I thought that might happen. Will he fire with the artillery? Yes, he will. No, he will shoot with the tank. And the anti-air, will it go for the battlecopter? If you go for that battlecopter, it might not be too bad. That is the biggest threat to your king. You destroyed the last one. I'm just keeping an eye on the Discord to make sure they're not typing out GG or anything. Oh, they're in a voice channel by themselves. I'll have to ask them what they were thinking after this. It's very interesting to see. Ah, and there it is! Advanced Warrior has resigned. And so, Mini Nini takes the exhibition war chess match of the century! Well played to both players. That was a very interesting game to watch. I had a lot of fun watching that, and I hope you guys did as well. Alright. Well, there's that. That was a very fun match. I gotta say, that was a lot of fun. I hope that we can see a lot more live war chess coming in the future. Let me guys know. You guys let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this. Do you want to see some more war chess content in the future? Do you want to see some more live commentary? Do you want to see me playing a live match? Do you want to see a live chess tournament? That is absolutely something that I'd love to do. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe for even more Advanced Wars, Tiny Wars content, including fun mini-games such as war chess. But until next time, goodbye everyone. It's nighttime.